Okay, hi and welcome to another installment of Math Basics with Mr. Besh. Today we look at proportions. Now I broke this down into two parts. We'll be dealing with the first part now. This is just the basics. We will introduce proportions, explaining a little bit about what they are, and then we will also solve these basic proportions using a technique referred to as cross multiplication. Okay, let's begin. First thing that you have is a proportion, is a fraction equal to another fraction. Now, we've already dealt with fractions and reducing them down into lowest terms, and we know that sometimes fractions can have the same exact value, equal values, but not look like one another. Some fractions have bigger values than some smaller fractions, and you know this by reducing them down into lowest terms. Well, that's a case that's going to happen here. There's going to be a missing piece. You see, with every proportion, there is going to be something missing, and we got to find out that value. And I have this highlighted for us up here in X. It's red. All right, we want to find out what value of X makes this true. What value over 6 is the same exact value as 24 over 36? So the technique we use is called a cross multiplication technique. And what we do is we take the terms that are diagonally across from one another and multiply them together. We always start with the fraction on the left-hand side and its numerator, which is X. We then multiply it by diagonally across from it, which is the denominator of the second fraction, which is 36, exactly like you see here. Now what we do is we set this equal to the other two values diagonally across from each other multiplied together. So then 24 times 6 is going to be my term on the other side of the equal sign. Now, the first thing we want to do is simplify this. X times 36 is going to give us 36x. And that's going to be equal to 24 times 6, which is 144. Now, what we have is a basic one-step equation to solve. Piece of cake. Divide both sides by 36. 36x divided by 36 is 1x, or just x. And 144 divided by 36 is our answer, which is 4. And that is cross multiplication, and that is what you have to do. Now, some other questions make you build the fraction themselves. For instance, here's another very basic one. It says 8 pencils are in 2 boxes, and then below here it says then 20 pencils would be in X boxes. So now what we want to do is we want to make the fractions. Take the first term you have, 8 pencils in 2 boxes, and use those two numbers to make a fraction. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to put either 8 over 2 or 2 over 8. This matters because when you set the two fractions equal to each other, pencils need to go across from pencils and boxes need to go across from boxes. That's the only thing that really matters here. So when I make my fraction up based on this information, notice what I've done. I have 8 over 2. Pencils over top of boxes has to equal pencils over top of boxes. Notice both numerators of my fractions, 8 and 20, represent my pencils, whereas 2 and x on the denominators represent my boxes. And now what I'm able to do is cross multiply, so 8 times x first, then set that equal to 2 times 20, and then when I'm all said and done simplifying this, 8 times x is going to give me 8x. 20 times 2 is going to give me 40. Divide both sides by 8. And then x comes out to be 5. And it's going to be 5 boxes. Remember, anytime you have a word problem, as simple as it may be, make sure that you have labels. Remember, like Miss Cobby says all the time, no naked numbers. And that's it. I hope you found this both helpful and informative.